I've seen inside my head a vision, never the outcome you'll be wishing for. Are you gonna play the hero? Are you gonna play the fool? Are you gonna play the coward? Or are you gonna play it cool? No matter what you play, no matter who you be, you're never gonna play me. What you say? I've seen inside my head a vision, never the outcome you'll be wishing for. When you fly out on the floor, I've seen inside 100 faces, right behind 100 cases closed. Ready to ride, ready to ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today is the day that everybody has been waiting for, which is not WrestleMania predictions, because we already done that. It's the Backlash to WrestleMania, and that is Backlash 2025 in St. Louis, Missouri. With me today, I got two incredible gentlemen right here. And first, I want to introduce the man, the myth, the one and only, the man who has the best interview panel reaction show I've ever seen. The man who, to this day, pioneered, the whole brotherhood and everything. The lovely Pat Pete. I call you Pat.
Pika, it's so good to be back here, brother. First of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and let me just say it's nice to meet a fellow person with where their first name is P. So it's glad to meet a fellow Peaster.
Hell yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. And our special guest, you might know him as the man named Chris, but he is the man that's also Patti. Chris, Patti.
Hey, what are we doing here?
Yep. So today we're here for Backlash 2025, and as far as I can tell from this match card, there's about 5 matches. It seems like the run-of-the-mill match card that Triple H would book, and so we're gonna start with the IC title, even though there's like 2 IC title matches on this card, but we're gonna start with the women's IC title. We have the champion, the women's IC champion, Lyra Valkyria, facing the man, Becky Lynch. A match that I would say probably doesn't fit Backlash, because isn't Backlash's theme usually the the WrestleMania Backlash, in the sense of rematches and this and that. Like when I'm looking up and down this card, it looks like these are all like new matches for the most part. So this might be a different feel for what a traditional Backlash should be. But Pete, what's your thoughts on this first women's IC title match right here?
Okay, here's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to do the exact opposite of what Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan were going to do in 2005 following SummerSlam 2005. What I think is going to happen is that both Lila, how do you say her name? Lyra? Lyra. I think Lyra and Becky are going to do a 3-match program where I think, Lyra might win the first one, and then she'll retain this match at Backlash. Then she fights Becky Lynch again at, whatever the next pay-per-view is going to be, and that which would accumulate to match 3, where Valkyrie beats Becky, Becky leaves, and then they do the whole handshake bit at the end, and that's what I think is going to happen, where I think Lyra's going to win first. She's going to retain this coming Sunday. Then the next match they have, Becky was going to, win the match and take the IC title, and then she's going to hold and be a transitional champion until Lyra takes that SummerSlam. My take.
So like a hot potato type of thing.
Much, yeah.
I could see that for sure. Okay. Chris, what's your thoughts on this match?
Chris?
Chrissy.
Did we lose Chris?
We might have.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, we got to keep the show moving if he's not here, though, so we'll get back to him if he does. So,
hey, Yeah, so I can basically, because I was gonna say it like, I'm doing my job pretty poorly. Like maybe I should explain to the viewers, so why this match is happening. So basically, if you guys, tuned in and saw WrestleMania, it was supposed to be, Lyra and Bailey versus Liv
Hang
and
on, what happened?
Raquel. Oh, Chris is back.
Oh, good.
Well, I was gone. I was just like trying to find the matches so I can like understand it better, like what I'm looking at here and what I need to predict.
Yeah, so you got the match card that we sent, right?
No, I didn't. So send it to me like directly.
Yeah, it's in the general chat. I don't know if you see it or not, but so basically, like, there's 5 matches on the Backlash card, and the match that we're talking about currently right now is the women's IC title match, which Lyra Valkyria is the champion, and Becky's challenging her for the title. And I was going to explain to like the viewers, like what led up to the this whole program, which was basically, Bailey got taken out. They needed a replacement at WrestleMania. It happened to be Becky Lynch, and in a freaking squash match that I thought that was very atrocious. They won the women's tag titles.
Because I'm like
Hmm.
seeing on the Wikipedia page, John Cena versus Randy Orton, first one, Lyra Valkyria versus
Yeah.
Becky Lynch.
Yep. So basically, that's the match we're on currently right now, Lyra and Becky. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like Becky Lynch is probably likely to have her comeback story, unless, of course, they are actually trying to boost Valkyria here, give her the push that she's looking for in terms of like moving forward as new talent.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not really sure like which way this could go.
So you're saying it's basically 50-50, right?
I think so.
Who do you want to see win it?
I like to see Becky Lynch win, but yeah, I know that she's like had all her time, and her time is bound to pass sometime soon.
Okay. So you're going to go with Becky to win the title at Backlash.
That's who I want to win, but yeah, I think it's possible that Valkyria could win.
Oh, okay. Okay. But you're informed of what the story was, right? With Becky and Lyra?
Haven't been following.
Okay, so basically, I was going to explain to the viewers and everybody who's listening. So basically, Becky was a surprise, tag team partner. They won the tag title matches at WrestleMania. They apparently did the rematch on the night after WrestleMania and instantly lost the tag titles in a better match. And I think Becky, kind of got mad and pissed that, Lyra was the one to eat the pinfall, and she just turned on her and like manhandled slammed her like probably like 5 times and such, And it basically solidified, her heel turn. And basically, the whole program is like, like I idolize you, you're a mentor, like you meant the world to me. We were like supposed to represent like Ireland together, but it seemed like your ego and all this got the better of you, and now I'm like trying to like prove to the world that what the people said about you is real type of thing. And it's like it's kind of it's pretty simple. It's like like the whole like tag teams falling apart type of thing. But and also I think Becky did reveal that she was the one that took out Bailey too. So yeah. But
Okay.
So my thoughts on this is, I know it's going to be probably a really good match, and I do agree with you. It can probably go either way. You could give it to Becky, have her, win another title, in her, second match, back or whatever. But I think the more interesting idea that you could possibly tell is have like Lyra win, but like let it be like a not like the most like cleanest victory. Like it can be something along the lines where like Lyra tries to get the best of Becky. Becky, uses her veteran ability to, to kind of like maneuver herself, create some offense, and then basically when Becky's like about to win, maybe this is, the return of Bailey. Bailey can come and cost, and she can cost Becky the match. And I think, whether it's a distraction or whether it's a DQ, this and that. So I'm gonna go with Lyra on this one, but it does make sense for Becky to win this, but the more interesting scenario would be if Bailey does come and then basically it becomes like basically a 3-way feud at that point, for the women's IC title. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna go with Lyra. I think Pete went with Becky, right?
Lyra.
Oh, you want Lyra too? Oh, okay, and then
So the first
Chris. Yeah. So first match was Lyra. Okay, so I do agree with you. Yep. And then Chris, you went with Becky, right?
Yeah, I go with Becky, who I want to win.
Yeah.
And Myra is also still possible to win.
Okay. All right. That wraps up for the women's IC title. What's the next match on the card, Pete?
We got the I believe it's a fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental title, for the men's Intercontinental title.
Yep.
And for wait a minute. No, I take that back. That's the United States title match. Pardon me. We have a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. Pika, your pick.
Okay. So obviously, I think when we did the whole like big WrestleMania show, like I think I might have been leaning towards like if there was going to be a new champion, I would want it to be Penta because he is the new face of Lucha that they have currently in the company, and I feel like they can capitalize a lot because of his style and his whole presentation. Like he just comes off as like a larger life superstar. But there were people also, if I do remember correctly, that wanted Dom to win the match because they wanted Dom to kind of basically be like kind of like a 2.0 of Eddie Guerrero, kind of cheat his way to the top and elevate the IC title by just doing dastardly means and such. And I feel like the story for this in particular was if we since we all watched WrestleMania, we saw like basically Dom win the match, but he didn't pin the champion, nor did he beat Penta. He beat Finn. And Finn, instead of like lashing out and like losing it, he basically commended Dom, saying like you brought the title to Judgment Day, I'm proud of you, etc., etc. And I think it was on the night after WrestleMania. I think Penta like surprisingly just got like an IC title match out of nowhere because I think most people were thinking like, oh, it was supposed to be Braun because Braun lost his title, like he's the one supposed to get the rematch clause, but they gave it to Penta, and Penta was about to beat him, but that was the return of JD. JD came out of nowhere, tossed him, from the top of the top of the turnbuckle, and basically, the rest was history at that point. So I think this is kind of like, Penta's kind of redemption tour. And I feel like this might be either like potentially the second best match of the night, or if not the best, depending on like how they, if they give it the sufficient time that it needs. But I'm going to go with Penta winning the IC title. And there might be a potential of like, I guess interference from Judgment Day. There might be a potential, but like, I'm assuming that like if Judgment Day does show up and this and that like LWO or like, his brother Phoenix or something will happen where it's like, they'll combat them and then it will just literally be, mano to mano. And also Liv, not being in this is a kind of an interesting factor too, because she's not, with the, the company currently right now because she's, filming a movie. So unless she returns at the pay-per-view, you can, equate, Liv out of the factor. So it's like, there's like a high likelihood I could see Dom lose. So that's the, the percentage I'm going to go with. So I'm going to go with Pentagon as my pick. Who you got, Pete?
Well, I honestly think that because I think it's too soon for Dom to lose the title, and then like, nothing against Penta, because much like you, Pika, I want Penta to win.
Right.
I think from a storyline purposes, I think that you're right. I think the Judgment Day might have something to do with him losing it, but not right now. I think down the road, it's going to lead to Dominic versus Finn for the IC title. That's what I think will happen, and I think Penta will eventually get it. But I don't think right now he'll get it. So I think so. My pick is going to be Dominic Mysterio.
So you basically saying you do see the friction. It's just you feel like it would be too early right now for like.
I think I think it's way too early, and nothing against Penta because I for one, much like you, want to see Penta hold gold, just like Ray Phoenix. I think the Lucha Bros at one point will become tag team champions.
Yeah, but I have a question. Do you see Penta losing clean though?
No, not at all. I think he's actually gonna. I think Dominic's gonna win dirty. Literally, intended win dirty.
Dirty Dom win dirty.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Like Penta will not Dominic will win due to interference from Judgment Day.
Huh.
Like Carlito or like Raquel or
Do you think that they would have the balls to actually debut like a new member for like Judgment Day to help Dom win?
Repeat the question.
Do you think WWE would have the balls to actually introduce a new face to like join Judgment Day at the pay-per-view?
That's what I wanted to talk to you about because
Mm.
in the past, since 2022, we've always seen a third member join. I was telling Silver this too earlier.
Right.
Some backlashes, we always see a certain person join a particular thing at Backlash. Like for instance,
Right.
Rhea Ripley joined Judgment Day at Backlash.
Yeah, she did.
I believe
Yeah.
the Tongan, like one of the Tongan boys, joined the Bloodline last year.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Finn joined the night after Backlash too.
Absolutely. And now
Yeah.
here's what I think.
Mm.
I think you're onto something with the Judgment Day. Not only that, getting a new
Mm.
member, but
Mm.
I also think that we're going to see a third wheel in Paul Heyman's new stable.
And who could that be?
I don't know. I think, you know what I think it is? I think they're trying to rebuild Evolution. And I think what we're going to see is we got the Muscle Man, i.e. Braun Breaker / Batista.
Batista, yeah.
We got Triple H / Seth Rollins. We got Paul Heyman / Ric Flair. There's only one individual that would fit perfectly into there, and it's going to be very weird for me to say, but Austin Theory. Austin Theory is your Randy Orton.
You know what's funny? That's literally what I was thinking too. Because I'm thinking in my mind is like, yeah, because they've been pulling dissension between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. It's only a matter of time before Austin Theory just dips him and be like, yeah, I'm cutting the dead weight.
Is it fair to say, Pika, too, that they, Grayson has the personality, but he's not the best worker, while as Theory doesn't have the personality, but he's the best worker?
I kind of disagree with that because I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying about Grayson. I think what you said about him is actually true. He is more like the character than he is the wrestler. But with Austin Theory is like he's shown throughout his whole career that he has a lot of charisma. And what I'm talking about specifically is his NXT run. Because when he was doing the NXT run stuff, and when he was doing also, I think to add validity to what you're saying about like Theory being the final keg to the whole spiel is like Seth and Theory do have some history with each other, if you remember, Pete.
Yes, they do, because wasn't he put that whole Monday Night Messiah?
Yes, yeah, he was a disciple. Yes,
So what you're saying is this is a full circle right here.
That would be a full circle moment if they if they're willing to tell that story, and I feel like that would be the perfect time. But with going back with Theory, it's like, yeah, he does have charisma. It's just WWE was, if anything, specifically Vince wasn't really showing how charismatic he could really be. He just gave him like a goofy like selfie gimmick, and it's like if you were to see the type of character that he wasn't doing, the type of emotion that he puts into his craft, like it's like, holy crap, this guy is the overall package. He can talk on the mic, he looks like he's $1 million, and he can go. So it's like, I could see, Seth being like, yeah, the future runs in Theory. Like, that could be something I could definitely see. But going back to the Judgment Day thing, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that I think Dom was like talking about all these weeks saying like, like, Finn, we need a new member to join Judgment Day. We need a new one. Like, and I feel like when JD returned, that whole, talk kind of like, dissipated a little bit. It's like, oh, JD's back, we might be in full gear, etc. But now knowing Liv is going to be out of the equation now because she's gone for a while, it would make sense for another female to kind of, join the group and fill in that Liv spot until she comes back.
I think I know who should join.
Yeah. All right. Wait, before I say the name, because I feel like you and I are on the same page with this.
No, you talk about full circles. I got one for you right now. Who's the one woman who is on the roster who has connections with, Liv Morgan?
Connections with Liv Morgan? And
in the past.
In the past? Like, how past are we talking about? Like, what?
And Liv's career.
Oh, you're talking about like Rise Squad days.
There you go. And technically, Sarah is still under contract.
That is true. That could be a way they could repackage her to join the Judgment Day.
Wasn't she, what's it called, Valhalla? Why can't she come up with a new, dark character?
Or she could just go back to being Sarah Logan.
So it could be Sarah Logan, but with a dark edge.
Yeah, I could. Okay, I could see that, because the way I was thinking about it was like maybe somebody from NXT, because they have a lot of new fresh faces. If you've been noticing with the whole that's another thing that kind of surprised me, the fact that the women's world title isn't being defended on the show, because knowing like Io and what she's been going through, Julia and Roxanne and all that. It's like I thought that would have been a match on the card. I guess she went for a match on the card. But with that being said, I think it might be Roxy. I think Roxy might actually not maybe in this specific match, but in the future be a potential member of Judgment Day. Because I feel like if anybody were to actually bring her in and be that type of person, it wouldn't actually be Dom. It would actually be Finn. It would kind of be like a whole full circle moment if you really think about it. Because Edge was the one who thought it was a good idea to bring Finn into Judgment Day, and then it turned out to be the Dagger, right? So it's like maybe the same thing happens to Finn. He brings a new member in, they realize how useless Finn is, and they discommunicate him out of the group.
Very true. And you just brought up how the women's match, you brought up the women's title and that not being on the card though.
Right.
Tell me if you saw this, Pika. They did how badly were they pushing and teasing us with Kairi Sane and Io Sky teaming up to fight Julia and Roxanne.
Wait, who and who?
Did you watch Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, wait, what are the names you said again?
They did. Io Sky. Tell me they weren't building up for Kairi and Io versus them.
No, they were, yeah. If Kyrie's ready, if Kyrie's ready to come back, yeah.
She's medically clear.
Yeah, so I guess it's only a matter of time. But like the things I feel like maybe they thought it would be too soon for like the Backlash card, so they might save it for like probably what the next pay-per-view is going to potentially be.
I'm saying I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna have they're gonna have one of those in-ring segments where they beat her up and then Kairi makes her return. Is what I think is gonna happen. And that's gonna lead to a match between the four of them at the next pay-per-view.
You mean like a tag match, or are you talking about a Fatal 4-Way?
What was that?
You saying like a tag match, or are you talking about Fatal 4-Way?
Tag match.
Yeah, tag match. Okay. Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see that happening. But with that being said, so you're gonna go with Dom, right? With your pick for against Penta for the IC title match.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree with it.
Who are you going with?
Dom is definitely probably more likely to be the winner here because it's too soon for him to drop the title, and he definitely needs more foundation for his heel run, as well as to possibly even maybe transition into a babyface, and I guess recreate and echo the legacy of Eddie Guerrero.
Right. Yeah.
After all, what would have been the point of elevating him or pushing him in the first place?
Right. But you do see ultimately Dom imploding, right, with Finn. Like there's gonna be a clashing with the members of Judgment Day.
Yeah, his implosion with Judgment Day is definitely inevitable because we've seen it with DX, we've seen it with New Day.
Yeah, we've seen it with Shield. Yeah,
and Shield,
yeah. Okay, so you're going with Dom, Pete's going Dom, I'm going Penta. Okay, perfect. What's the next match, Pete? Actually, no, I got it, Pete. I got it, Pete. So the next match is a Fatal 4-Way match for the United States Championship. You got the champion, the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu, against the Scottish Warrior, Drew McIntyre, against the Megastar, LA Knight, against
LA Knight.
Who's the oh wait, Damian Priest. They are Archer of Infamy, Damian Priest, in a Fatal 4-Way match for the United States Championship. So, PD, you want to go first on this?
Yeah, I really think for me it's no hesitation. Jacob Fatu is retaining.
How do you see the match going though?
I could see it going very hard hitting, and especially with Priest, Drew, and Jacob in there. I could see it where LA Knight is going to. It looks like LA Knight's going to win. Then it's going to lead to a big schmoz between everyone coming in. Then Drew's going to claim more of LA Knight. Then Priest is going to hit his move, and then Fatu hits his move on Priest, thus pinning Priest. And then I could be wrong here, but I think Solo will somehow be involved in this match.
Interesting. Okay. But what do you see Solo's a big what was he Is he gonna you see him ultimately being like the factor to actually help Jacob win, or do you see it being?
I honestly think he's gonna help him, but then it just fails. But then it's just despite him helping and failing, Jacob Fatu still retains.
That could be the case. Yeah, I could see it going that way. But yeah, my personal opinion is I feel like this. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Pete?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, in my personal opinion, I feel like this has all the tools and the formula and the ingredients to kind of basically be the match of the night because it's a fatal four match. It's four guys that probably had the better matches from WrestleMania, and I feel like if anything, this is like the true backlash match of the night because how like it's a backlash is supposed to be rematches from WrestleMania. They just combine like two individual feuds into one, and they give us like one big like amazing match here. So I do see the point that you're making with Pete with Jacob Fatu. Just obviously he recently won the title. Obviously they trying to push him to the moon, show him that he's I'm my champion and all. But I feel like there's too many variables and factors into this match that could potentially lead to Jacob losing the title. Case in point, like obviously, like since he's the champion, like it could be that same scenario that happened with WrestleMania with Braun Breaker. Like the champion doesn't necessarily need to be pinned. You know what I mean? So it could be a matter of like Damian Priest could be pinned. It could be a Matt Priest. It could be a situation where Drew McIntyre gets pinned. I could be a situation where multiple guys take each other out, and it's like there's a lot of variables that you can really put into this. But I feel like ultimately, if you did take the title off LA Knight, what sense would it really make to kind of put the title back on him? Even though I can totally see a scenario where it's like Drew and Damian take each other out because they're fallout from WrestleMania, and then when Solo tries to help Jacob Fatu, in this case like Jacob could be like I never need you at WrestleMania. I don't need you now, like like step down, like I don't, and then it could be a situation where like that amount of like distraction time could lead to like LA Knight getting the surprise victory and winning back the IC title, or the US title. But at the same time though, I'm thinking like how interesting would it be if either Drew or Damian Priest win those titles, because they can be something along the lines where like if one of them win the titles, they can both go into a program with those titles. So it's like it's kind of like everybody has a kind of like a small percentage of like winning this. So even though I normally would agree and say this should be champion's advantage, which what I'm probably gonna agree with the actually no I see a scenario where like an upset could potentially happen. So I guess between Drew and Damian Priest, I feel like Damian Priest would actually benefit the most, from winning this match. So I'm going to say Damian Priest is going to be the one to capture the title, and I feel like it's going to be a scenario where like he either pins LA Knight or Drew McIntyre and gets his win back from like WrestleMania. So that's my prediction. But Chris, what do you think about this Fatal 4-Way match?
Well, tough call. I mean, Jacob Fatu, though, I'd say he got more reason to win.
Right.
Reason to lose. And yeah, I don't really like have any other ideas on like which other way it could go and why it wouldn't go the way it's going to go. But that's just my like 2 cents worth.
So you're gonna go with Jacob Fatu to retain the title?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 Jacob Fatu and 1 Damian Priest here. Okay. All right, Pete. What is the next match on the card?
We got the match that fucking everyone's talking about. Not.
Not.
I just put this suit is blue. Not. We got the Pat McAfee versus the Ring General Gunther.
Oh boy, a match that everybody asked for. I'm assuming, right?
Oh goodness gracious! This reminds me. Do we need another Michael Cole Jerry Lawler match minus the commentator part?
Oh man. Unless somebody's being dipped into barbecue, I don't want to ever see that match again.
Oh, what was worse was the Kiss My Foot match when we had to see barbecue sauce feet, and what it was like the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, man.
When was the last time you seen a mud? When was the last time you seen a mud wrestle match? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
This
What happened
is
to the mud wrestle?
It's definitely Vince McMahon with his gross stuff. I mean, even JR said in the Dark Side of the Ring that if you pitch an idea that involves puking, peeing, farting, crapping, Vince is gonna approve that.
Oh yeah. Because I low-key think the last mud wrestle match, if I do remember correctly, was Stephanie and Vicky Guerrero, right? Like that was the last time they had a
You're right. And you should remember, you guys, you should remember this. You remember behind the mat when we had to hear Vince McMahon going, "He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
He's gonna puke!"
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. But no, but what's your full thoughts though? Like, do you see any purpose for this match? And like,
Yes.
Okay, and what's the purpose do you see for this match?
So if I'm reading correctly, and if this is true what I'm hearing, they're using this match as a catalyst for Gunther versus Goldberg's retirement match, where I heard that they want Goldberg to interfere on Pat McAfee's behalf on this match. Either that or he comes out after the match, which leads to Gunther versus Goldberg that they teased before. You remember when we got that?
Yeah.
You were always my favorite, my second favorite, Bret Hart, next to Bill Goldberg.
Yeah. But I'm thinking in my mind, it's like it was different when they did it then in comparison to doing it now. Like are we actually interested in seeing Gunther versus Goldberg now?
No, not at all.
So it's like, why even do that match? If anything, if you're gonna have Goldberg face anybody, make it somebody worthwhile. Like, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't even mind. Like honestly, knowing that Cena's on his retirement tour, like Cena versus Goldberg. Like I don't know if we ever did get that match, but that would probably be a better, last match for Goldberg if than Gunther. Because I feel like Gunther stocks, past WrestleMania, like went to the shitter. Because I'm pretty sure y'all saw that match, right? That opened up WrestleMania Night 1.
Which match?
Yeah, Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title.
Oh God, they made him look such a bitch.
Right, it was one of the worst openings to a WrestleMania match I've ever seen ever. Like it probably is the worst WrestleMania opening match ever when you really, really think about it. And I feel like
Pika, not to interrupt, but Gunther never lost via submission, right?
No, he's lost to submission before.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, but he never tapped out. He passed out.
That's what I'm saying. He never tapped out, right?
Yeah, he never tapped out. Yeah, but he definitely did lose his submission before though, because I think he got choked out once.
I honestly feel like, and it's not his fault. I felt like he lost credibility when he tapped out the Jey Uso.
He lost everything. Because I don't even see like the purpose of like even having Gunther, like because what do you do from that point forward? It's like why did you have to make him tap out? The fact that you made him tap out, now you made him look more like a bitch, and nobody's gonna really take him seriously, and everything that you built with this guy just went down the drain just like that. To the point where he's wrestling an announcer, Pat McAfee, like of all people, like he went from the highs to like the lowest of lows. But with that being said, I unironically think that this match has a lot of potential of being good because I'm looking at it in a sense where it's like there's two ways they can really do this match. Either it's going to be like what we all think it's going to be a squash match where like Gunther just does his whole like 10 moves of doom and just beats Gunther and it's like the rest of history and then leads to obviously the scenario that you're bringing up with the whole Goldberg showing up afterwards and this and that. But what I would like to see. And I feel like you guys are familiar because it's not like this is the first time we're ever seeing, Pat McAfee wrestle. We've definitely seen him wrestle before. And if you guys remember the match that he had at, I want to say WrestleMania 38 against Austin Theory, that match ruled. So I want something similar to that where, these guys go toe to toe with each other. Pat just shows like he just has the never give up attitude and et cetera, et cetera. And,
Pika, you're right. The match was great, but not the Vince versus Pat match.
Yeah, but that was an exhibition. That wasn't even really.
True.
He's like, no, you're not beating my son. I'm gonna be the man. I'm gonna go over. So because Austin Theory was basically Vince McMahon's son at that point. But so it was like him staying up for his dad or staying up for his son. But well, just to I guess play a wrinkle, because I'm assuming everybody just is gonna assume that Gunther is gonna win. It would be cool, Or like it would be funny to see like Pat win if it was like due to interference and such. So like if that Goldberg factor does play, hopefully he doesn't show up like after the match, but he shows up within the match, costs Goldberg the match, Pat McAfee wins, it's gonna kind of be like a LOL moment, and then maybe then it could be something where like Gunther like after losing to Pat realizes that like I'm not the same Gunther anymore. I got to become a new version of myself and a more like intense, serious version of Gunther. Would probably be really cool. Because then at that point he really want to kill Goldberg because not only did he tap out of WrestleMania, but the following period he lost to a beloved announcer. Like that would probably make him lose it. So my prediction, I'm gonna go with Pat McAfee. But Chris, who do you got for this man?
Pat McAfee would definitely be an interesting twist. And it's sort of like Celebrity Deathmatch, where the guy who you don't really bet on is the one to win, or even like the most popular guy is usually the one to lose. Because think about like The Rock versus Chris Rock in a most previous season of Celebrity Deathmatch. You see Chris Rock win. And so, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I'd like to see Pat McAfee win.
Yep.
And sort of just like take a shit on the expectations of Gunther winning.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going to be like believable with Gunther's credibility, he should win.
Yeah. It's like he needs to win, but like the thing is like at what cost though? Because he's facing an announcer. You know what I mean? Like you relegate him this low, it's like why don't you just go all the way with it and have Pat win and just basically make a because it could be some situation where like Pat even gets like the fluke victory and Gunther just has like a meltdown and beats the crap out of Pat McAfee and then that leads to the Goldberg save. That would be cool to see.
Do you think somehow Michael Cole will make his way into this match and try to interfere on Pat's behalf? Like, similar to, like, remember Joey Styles did at ECW One Night Stand with Taz and Jerry Lawler?
Well, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think Michael Cole's ever going to take a bump in wrestling. That man's too old right now. Huh?
Barmy also wants to think, why not? Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he take why wouldn't he help Pat in the match?
Why wouldn't he take a bump for wrestling?
Why would he? Like I could see something along the lines where like maybe they're fighting close to the announce table and like Michael Cole does like some distraction, basically saying like Gunther, you're not proving nothing to the world, you're just being all Pat, and it gives Pat enough time to recover and do some things and maybe put him through the table. Maybe something like that could happen, but I don't see Michael ever getting physical though, at least for his sake, But yeah, so what was your pick again, Pat? You went with? I mean, Pete.
I'm going with Pat. I'm going with Pat.
Pat. Okay. Oh, so we're all going Pat here. Okay. That's cool. All right. So what's the? Actually, hold on.
Main event time.
Before we get to the main event, can we talk about a match that could potentially happen on the show that they just never announced?
Sure.
Yeah. So I feel like, even though it's a 5-match card and this is perfect, but knowing Triple H, he's not gonna add anything else to the card, because he likes to organize things and give things appropriate time and such. But I feel like they were building for a world title match, and I feel like what I'm talking about, P. I feel like they did segments, or at least one segment, and obviously knowing what happened this past Monday Night Raw, obviously the same dude showed up, did the same thing that he did the previous week, which is Logan Paul. So I'm thinking in my mind, is there a possibility of Logan Paul versus Jey Uso for a world title on the show?
Yes, and I don't think Paul's winning. He's not going to become heavyweight champion.
What makes you say that, though? Is it just the fact that you just don't see it because of Jey Uso and like his big WrestleMania win, or is it something along the lines of?
I just don't see it because I think it's too soon. I think he's too soon to win a world heavyweight title. I mean, Jey Uso, and first of all, I think they want to run the Jey Uso gravy train a little longer. Secondly,
right.
Logan Paul, I would think they would give him, they gave him the IC title, but I would think they would want to build him up first, kind of like what they did with Miz. Because remember, Miz and Logan Paul are kind of similar. They both started out like as actors, or they weren't wrestlers by experience.
No.
But I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna have Logan Paul win belts. Obviously, he had the U.S. title. Now we
Right.
got to give him, some tag team title reigns, and then maybe an IC title reign before giving him a heavyweight title,
Right.
like Randy Orton.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see what you mean. Like basically pad his career, build him up to, actually eventually win the world title. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is like I feel like this match is interesting only for the fact that like so most people, not most people, but like there is like a suspense of disbelief that you can kind of see Logan Paul beat Jey Uso because Jey Uso, when you really think about it, isn't like the most like dominant slash dominant like champion. Like it's like one of those situations where if this was like like Seth being champion or anybody else being champion, it's like if Logan Paul were to face it, it's gonna be like how like like in Saudi Arabia with Roman Reigns, like Logan's not winning that. But with Logan, there is a percentage where they could actually flip the trigger and actually give him the title because when you really think about it, like Jay got his moment. Like, what is Jay gonna really be doing for the because the whole world title, it wasn't that he was facing trying to get Gunther and become the best world heavyweight champion. He wanted to beat Gunther to prove that he could actually beat him. And that fact that he actually did that at Mania, what is more of a story to tell for Jay? You know what I mean?
I do.
So it's like I could really see WWE being like, oh, you know what, you're a transitional champion. You got to run and give it to like Logan Paul, which I don't think is a great idea because I wouldn't really want to see Logan Paul as a heavyweight champion, especially now. But it is an interesting match to do because it could be one of those things where it could actually go either way. So, with that being said, Chris, what's your thoughts on that potential match actually happening on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know. Can't exactly say that it couldn't happen, but yeah, it's just like a case of what's going to fit into the story, of course, and we'll just see like whatever happens. I don't really have a real opinion.
Yeah, but let's say if that match does happen, like who do you got? Like, do you think Jay's gonna win and retain his title, or do you think they're gonna actually have Logan win and win the world title off Jay?
I like to lean towards Logan.
Wow, how so? Like, explain why.
Change things up a bit. It's about the expectations of like why it should be like going the other way. Because if we just make things too predictable for the fans, hey, where's the draw?
Like even think about even more P. Like it kind of reminds me of like when they did Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal at Backlash. If you remember, who the hell thought Jinder Mahal was gonna win that match, right? P?
Yeah. That Jinder was a pro wrestler before he started. Logan was not. Like that would be like I'll give you an example. That'd be like giving the Miz the WWE Championship 3 years after he debuted.
Right. No, I get that, but you also gotta look at the reason, like the real reason why they gave Jinder the title.
Well, because the Indian demographics, and also it was originally scheduled for Rusev, but Rusev actually screwed it up by, announcing his engagement online while he was in a feud with his wife in storyline.
Right. No, I get that all, but I'm saying like that was the main crutch of it. The fact that he had the Indian following of him and like that, a notoriety and publicity, all that would come to WWE by giving Jinder the title.
But Pika, what following does? I mean, yeah, you just said an Indian following for Jinder. What following does Logan Paul have? Idiots?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm assuming because of like the person that Logan Paul is and how everybody knows he is. Like, I'm pretty sure he brings a lot of traction because there has to be a reason why they keep using this guy on the show. Like, we get it, he's a decent wrestler and all, but like nobody really wants to see him. Like he's ungrateful, he's lousy, he's egotistical, he scams people, he's a horrible human being. But there's a reason why they keep utilizing this guy, and I'm assuming it's because of his following and his traction and like the name that he has. So I'm thinking in my mind, it's like it could be one of those situations where it's like the amount of publicity that this person's bringing to the company would be beneficial to actually give him the title. Like it literally is like the whole Jinder Mahal thing again when you really think about it. But the thing is, though, it's like when that Vince call happened, like that was under or that Jinder Mahal happened, it was a Vince call. So like would Triple H recreate. Will Nick Khan like actually be like, hey, you know what, like this person's bringing a lot of eyes to our product. He's a social media conglomerate. Like, he wins the title, everybody's gonna be talking about it, and our product's gonna be buzzing, and no one's gonna expect it because it's like Jey Uso just came fresh off WrestleMania, so it would be another like shocking moment, like holy crap, he dropped the title to Logan Paul type of thing. So for buzz purposes wise, I could really see them doing it. It's literally like the main reason why they did the whole gender thing. So would I want to see that? No, but there is a possibility of that. So I'm saying if they do that match, then I will give it to Logan. I think so, yeah. Because there has to be also another reason too. Is like when you really think about it, and this is kind of made me mad. Is like, what was the whole point of doing that Logan Paul and AJ match at WrestleMania? Like, you just wasted another WrestleMania for like a future Hall of Famer. If anything, that was a match that AJ should have won, but he didn't. And there's a reason to that shit, is because they wanted him to be somebody as legitimate as the AJ Styles. So when he faces somebody like a Jey Uso, everybody's gonna doubt him because it's like, oh, Jey Uso just came straight off, tapping out Gunther and it's on top of the world. But then when the lights, camera, and all that, collides, and everybody realizes, oh, Jey Uso is just a average wrestler, and he's an entrance merchant type of thing. And then Logan Paul just wins. It's like, holy crap! Like we did not expect that to happen. Like that kind of flipped the script. And then knowing the potential matches you could do in the future, because he's saying he's full time now, so it's not like he's going to be like a part time champion like he was with the U.S. title. So there is some interest to a Logan Paul like world title run currently right now, because I don't know, like just honest opinion, like what would you find like pretty interesting of like what WWE could tell in the future? Like, do you think they could tell a better story of Jey Uso being the world champion currently right now, Pete, or do you think if they give the title to Logan, they can probably tell a better story with all the potential stuff that he can do going into SummerSlam? Like, what would you be more interested in?
I mean, if for shock value, I guess it would make sense to put it on Logan. But here's the thing, though, he would not be a very long champion. He would he'd be a very transitional one.
Yeah, he would lose it like probably at SummerSlam. But like I could kind of see him like having a run where he basically wins it now and then holds it all the way until August and loses at SummerSlam. But against who? I don't know who. I don't know who you probably what
Well,
I could probably go on.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like personally, I would probably like to see like be Logan for the World Heavyweight title would probably be Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn cut a promo saying like, I've done everything in WWE, main event in WrestleMania multiple times, but the one thing that's eluded me the most is winning a world title. So so a story could be told where like if Logan beats Jay and then he just basically says like no, Jay wasn't on my level, nobody in that bloodline, in that family is on my level, etc., etc. It can only be a matter of time where Sammy tries avenging Jay, and he probably could be the one to just throw him at SummerSlam. So that could be a potential challenger right there. But
well, I mean, that's as close as he's gonna. If he does win, that's as close as he's gonna get to a world heavyweight title. Because I guarantee you, he's not holding the WWE title. He can hold he'll be like Christian and Mark Henry, where they hold the world title but never the WWE title.
Mm-hmm. What's the sad part too? I could see it like it's not anytime soon, but I could totally see Sami Zayn being WWE champion, but just not like in the coming future though. Because as long as like Cena's holding that title and they have those type of talents holding that title, then there's no way. But there could always be a scenario where he wins Money in the Bank and he cashes in on the WWE title in the future. But
two people I definitely seen becoming WWE champion eventually one day, maybe in the next 5 years. Braun Breaker, obviously.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's a long build right there because you want him to kind of basically I wouldn't even mind him like actually getting drafted to SmackDown and winning the US title. I think the US title would be really cool for Braun Breaker.
This one's gonna come to shock you, but another one I think will be WWE champion in the next 4 or 5 years. Karrion Kross.
Hell yeah! Like I'm surprised like they're still not using him in matches. Like this guy has built a stock, and I don't know if you heard, but like did you see the promo that he did? Where he basically he cut
the work shoot.
Yeah, he cut that pipe bomb, and I was like, yo. He's like, this ain't Karrion Kross, this is Killer Kross.
What I didn't get though is like, what was the point of releasing Paul Ellering and AOP?
Because they were just basically tools for like for Karrion Kross, and then when they realized Karrion Kross didn't need any of them, they were disposable to WWE. I'm assuming, which kind of sucks because WWE doesn't really have the greatest tag team division, especially on Raw. So I don't know why they did that, but you know.
Didn't, but
Yeah. So with that being said, yeah. So if the world title match does happen between Logan and Jay, you're going JP, right?
yeah, I'm going with Jay, and you both said Logan.
Okay, perfect. All right. So now, what are we on?
The final match, the main event.
Okay, leave it to yours truly right here. So, the main event for Backlash St. Louis. Very fitting. A place to actually do this match because knowing who the competitors are in this could very well be their final match against each other, if not the very final match. And knowing basically, and I think you're very familiar, Pete, how many times these people have faced each other, like to the point where it's a story that never ends. But there's an interesting wrinkle to it right now because it seems like the roles have actually reversed, where the champion, who happens to be the 17-time world champion, world WWE champion John Cena, undisputed champion John Cena, is actually the bad guy, while the hometown boy, who happened to be the bad guy throughout his whole career, happens to be the good guy in the story, which is Randall Keith Orton. So, with that being said, they're going to clash. And I feel like this match alone could potentially, if, the crowd is actually as hot as there should be for this match, could be another one of those, like, holy crap, like, this is like one of those matches that, like, gets to this is awesome before the match begins and this and that, because this match is purely going to be carried by how much the audience, is involved in this match. And I feel like since it's Randy's hometown, the crowd was going to be really loud for this. And, it could potentially, reach, the pinnacle reaction of, let's say, a Rock and Hogan from WrestleMania 17 or 18. This could be something where like people are like, totally invested in, and it's like maybe the good guy doesn't get, cheered, and maybe the bad guy gets cheered, type of thing. It's like it could be something along the lines of, like, people are just gonna overwhelmingly, cheer Cena, knowing that this is his last year. But with that being said, this is for the world, the undisputed WWE Championship. Who do you got, P, and how do you think this whole match is gonna go?
Well, I for one think that this match is going to be a very interesting one, and this is going to be one of the two matches I'm looking forward to watching, though. And like you said, there's so much that can happen during this match, and I think two things could potentially happen. One, I'm going to go with one of the picks. It's not my pick, but I could see, a possibility could be Randy Orton winning the title. That's one possibility. The other possibility, which is what I think will happen, is I think Cena's retaining. And then you talk about how he's going to walk away and then he'll be the final champion, this bullshit.
Right.
I'm still sticking to what I said previously in my WrestleMania prediction, where he disappears for a while, doesn't come back until maybe SummerSlam or Money in the Bank. And I think Money in the Bank, and I'll tell you why. I think he'll come back to start a program with Punk, who becomes the number one contender, or he wins like a tournament where he becomes a champion, and we just have a recycled rehash moment in 2011 where Cena comes back this time, not Punk, but he comes back, confronts Punk. These two have a title versus title match at Money in the Bank. That way, which is kind of alluding to their first match they had in 2011 at Money in the Bank, except this time it's their final match together. And then I can see Cena winning this match, and then at the end of the match, Cody coming out to challenge Cena at SummerSlam, where Cody will take the belt back.
Wait a minute. I do like most of the stuff that you said, in the sense of, like, because obviously it would make a lot of sense. After this match, Cena just says, you know what? I got my limited amount of days. I'm not going to show up. I'm going to be the last champion, da-da-da. And it would make sense to do a tournament, how they did it, like, in the past, where, like, oh, if you have an absentee champion, you need to crown a new champion. And, like, I do like the idea of Punk winning, then actually becoming, WWE champion again. That would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then them facing off, yeah, I can definitely see, and it would be actually really cool because it's like it's a history repeating itself again, but the roles are reversed once more.
Yeah.
So with the whole Cody thing, I feel like Cody could come back.
But Cody never rematch.
No, I get that. Cody can come back, and Cody could, like, but I feel like it would be kind of disappointing if, like, the whole Cena retirement tour, like, actually just ended at SummerSlam. You know what I mean? Because he did put those limited amount of days. If he does, take that whole like long break up until Money in the Bank, you chopped off basically. I want to say like 2 months, like
Well,
yeah.
Pika, it doesn't have to end though. He could easily lose the belt at SummerSlam, and then here's what you can do: the tour can still continue, but just have him do other matches. Like for instance, you could have a Team Cena versus Team whatever or Team Cody at Survivor Series. You can have Cena turn babyface after losing the title.
Wait, but what do you mean though? Like you mean like would you do a double turn? And I feel like Cody turned heel. Is what you're saying?
No, I mean similar to Becky Lynch. You remember when she had that match at SummerSlam and she turned face afterwards and she shook Bianca Belair's hand? Why not?
But the thing is, like, I feel like you're kind of going backwards because, like, what was the whole point of like taking the title off Cody just to give him back the title?
Well, I mean, because who else are you gonna put the title on? Who else could beat Cena for the title? Except Punk. Who else aside from Punk can win that title?
That is a very good question. Yeah.
It has to make sense too. Like who else is feasible that can win that? I could think maybe he turns face at the end of the match he has with Cody, and that's when that's when he would feud with a heel because like that's
if you want me to be completely honest, like depending on like how they build a certain individual, or like even if they build them or they don't build them, like I would think it'd be really cool to kind of do Cena versus AJ again. Like if Cena was the one to lose that to give AJ back the title, that would actually be.
That's another
one to. Yeah. So I would say probably AJ, and I would probably say AJ around Survivor Series, or even Clash of the Paris, whatever pay-per-view that is. Like that would be an ideal show to kind of. Actually, no, that is the show I do want to see because I think if you do remember correctly, when AJ had his match against Cody for the WWE title the previous year, if you remember Backlash France, you saw that crowd reaction, right? Viva la France, viva la France. AJ. Bro, they were singing for this man, bro. So it's like,
I love the crowd these days, especially when they go, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. Io Scott. Io Scott.
Oh, David singing was cool too.
Right. So the thing is, like, I do like everything you're saying, and I can see all that happening. It's just, I'm putting your ballpark. Like, do you want to see Cody become WWE champion?
I don't. WWE creative.
So I could see along the lines of like Cody coming back, trying to get his rematch, but then he loses to Cena again at SummerSlam, and this time we get the match that we should have got at WrestleMania. I feel like it would be like one of those types of things. I feel like it would be, I'll give you the best example. It's like, it kind of reminds me of, how Brock and Roman had all these matches and nobody really cared about. And like, it's like they kept like screwing the pooch at WrestleMania, this and that. Like, I think it was that same year, if I remember correctly, they did the greatest WrestleMania main event ever. You remember like how they're building that, champion versus champion thing. That match was pretty decent, but like at the same time, it didn't really hit the mark. Later on that year, they had that rematch at SummerSlam, and wasn't it the best like Brock and Roman match ever? So I feel like that could be ideally what you do. You bring Cody back, and you basically give us a better match than we should have got. Because I feel like because another thing you got to factor in too is like it was so lifeless how they basically gave Cena that 17 because it was supposed to be something that they should have built up because it's like he broke Ric Flair's prestigious. Cena is the man of WWE who actually won the most world titles. They never treated it like it was a big thing. So just to kind of be like, okay, they never treated it like a big thing, and for him to just kind of lose it within like 4 or 5 months, it's like what are you really doing? It's like you basically are squandering that year that Cena could potentially have, and this is his last year. So I feel like in my mind they're gonna capitalize on the fact that now that Cena has a title, Cena's only going to be functional until he loses that title. So, like, the thing is, this retirement tour ends the moment he loses that title. Yep. And I think that's the route that they should go. So, like, in my opinion, like, they could go to Survivor Series, and I think that's probably, like, the ultimate route. Or you could do something along the lines where, I'll say Survivor Series, yeah. That would actually be, like, a good, swan song. Because that is the last pay-per-view, I'm assuming. Because they don't really do other pay-per-views, right? Like, there's no December pay-per-view, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So Survivor Series could be, Cena's last ever match ever, and I feel like, people like AJ, people like Cena, this and that, like, there's other people like I'm thinking about that I'm forgetting right now that I'm like, oh, I would like to see Cena face one last time, but I think you agree with me in the sense of like, if we had the choice between like either Punk, AJ, or Cody, you'd rather want Punk and Cody to
Wait a minute.
Punk and AJ to win. Yeah. What?
Wait a minute,
Mm.
Pika. You just made me think of something really, really interesting right now.
And what's that?
When did John Cena turn heel the first time? 2003, right?
Right, 2003. Yeah.
What month was it? February?
Could have been February or March. It was one of those months. Yeah.
Okay, let's go with February.
Mm.
What if Cena? You just said Cena's last match is Survivor Series.
Mm.
What review did Cena turn babyface in 2003?
Survivor Series.
There you go. What if it's full circle right there, where he turns babyface at the end of Survivor Series?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that because it will solidify that like his career is done and his heel run is done, and now he can ride off the sunset as the Cena that he's been throughout the whole year. He'll thank the crowd, thank the people, thank this and that, do like his whole like swan song, and it's like because the thing is, if you can't like utilize Cena after that, because nobody wants to see Cena do a babyface match ever since they did the heel turn. It's like you want this whole heel turn to be milked out, and when he does lose, ultimately revert to the person that he always been, and and he can ride up in the sunset. So
yeah, I see.
Yeah. So with that being said, and I don't want Cody doing it. I want somebody who. So either they could elevate somebody to eventually, beat Cena, and that would actually be really cool. But the likelihood I see right now is like we got either AJ or Punk being the one. And if they do the idea of like Punk versus Cena at Money in the Bank, then more than likely it ain't gonna be Punk being him. So it has to be like somebody on that level. But with that being said, so what is your prediction with the Cena and Randy? Ultimately, you're gonna go with who, Pete?
I'm gonna go with Cena.
Cena, okay, and I do agree with you. Yeah, because there needs to be more longevity to this, heel turn. Like they're gonna have to milk it up. And I'm not gonna lie, the idea that you mentioned with this, that was the best thing ever. Because I'm thinking about right now is like if they do this CM Punk like tournament thing and he becomes a WWE champion, and they do champion versus champion, summer of Punk V2, baby. The summer of Punk gets recreated. Right. So, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Cena. It's sadly to say, even though the shock factor would be Randy winning in his hometown, but what do we know that WWE does best? Have people lose in their hometown. So, Cena is definitely my pick. Chris, who do you got in this main event?
I mean, I would go with Cena because he's definitely got like the stars aligning, things coming full circle with like what you guys are just talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just I guess another thing that kind of just leans in towards the whole like what was the whole point of him winning the title in the first place? And so
Exactly. Mm. But how do you see Cena winning though? If you were to predict like how Cena can win the match?
I want to say it won't be a clean win, and maybe we'll hear The Rock play his theme, but The Rock doesn't show up, and sort of just like works his way to troll the viewers and maybe even the rest of the baby faces in the locker room. I'm saying that I'll be there, but I don't have to be there.
Huh. I could totally see that being like like a pump fake, like we're finally gonna get Rock showing up helping Cena this and that, because that was something we were anticipating for WrestleMania and we never got it. So like them kind of teasing that would be, I guess, enough for like I can kind of see Randy kind of being like, oh my god, the final boss is coming up, but he doesn't, and Cena capitalizes on that. Maybe low blows him, hits him the double A, like it could be something along that. But now that you mentioned trolling the viewers, I think just for like LOL moment, and not even LOL moment, but like even storyline continuity, if I were to kind of be like, hey, this is the scenario that I want to see Cena win the match, would be like, it could be something along the lines where like, obviously they do the finisher spam, Cena kicks out of the RKO, Randy kicks out of the AA, they've been basically having this barn burner of a match. And the deciding factor that eventually helps Cena win would be, imagine if R-Truth comes out and says, yes, comes out and aids Cena because he really feels like Cena should be the last real champion. And because of his love and his idiocy, he, accidentally screws Randy, leading to Cena winning the match. Because that could be something from the left field that I don't think anybody's expecting. Because it's like, why do you have like R-Truth like keep saying like basically having him in defense of Cena, saying like you're still the same person, you're the real champ, this and that, because he's in that delusion of his childhood hero. And it would be kind of like a cool full circle moment, like how in WrestleMania they had Travis Scott being the factor to let Cena win. Like let the factor be right now that another individual comes out, happens to be R-Truth, the man who idolizes Cena. And then eventually, when Cena realizes that R-Truth's expendable, he turns on him at the end of the show. And it could be like, like a fuck, he used to have a Cena moment, but it'll be like an LOL moment because it's like, holy crap, R-Truth played a factor of like to the finish of the match. Like, holy moly.
And to keep with continuity, you can make R-Truth hate Cena forever.
Because of that, exactly. Because he gets to feel the low blow. Because if you're noticing right now, like Cena's been low blowing everybody. He low blowed Cody. He low blowed So it's like that could be the running gag. He hugs, shakes R-Truth's hands, thanks him for helping him win the match, and then eventually he's like, okay, you're expendable, goodbye, and betrays him. And then R-Truth is going to be living in denial at that point, saying his childhood hero really turned on him. And who knows? It might even potentially lead to a match. Because I think a lot of people do want to see at this point of R-Truth's career and this point of Cena's career to actually have a match, knowing that R-Truth has been doing the whole Cena gimmick since freaking ages now. So it's like,
and what if R-Truth ends up being the one who actually wins the title back?
hey, I don't know. You got to convince Pete that. Because I don't think Pete wants to see that, and he loves R-Truth. Yeah.
I don't want to see that. No.
Yeah, sadly though. And don't get me wrong. Like I think R-Truth's time of winning the WWE title, there was a moment where you could have given him the title, but right now I don't think he ever does need to win the title because he's a Hall of Famer without the title. So
he doesn't need a title though. Like that's the thing.
He doesn't.
He's like Piper. He doesn't need a title. It's like Bray Wyatt. Does Bray Wyatt need a title?
Right? No, he doesn't. No. Just the pure essence of the wrestler itself, just being on television, just it suffices. So
if your character is excellent, then you don't need a title.
Right. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there just in case if that does happen, because that would be a wacky moment of holy crap, there was actually a payoff to R-Truth, being like, Cena's my idol, Cena's my idol, Cena's my idol. Like Cena actually played a factor. And why I even see it even being prevalent to Randy is because Randy had a segment with him. Because I don't know if you guys saw on Monday, literally R-Truth, confronted Randy backstage saying he didn't like the things that Randy said and said John Cena personally told me himself that he is the last real WWE champion, so he's gonna beat you and and it's like, are you doing that as a comedy segment or are you doing it as foreshadowing of what's to come?
I think it's foreshadow.
It's foreshadow, right? Yeah. So, yeah, and I think a lot of people might dislike it, but I think it would be kind of depending on how they actually do it, because it's we all know Cena's gonna win, but it would be cool, kind of going full circle on that R-Truth gimmick and utilizing him on his utilizing that gimmick on Cena's last year. Idolized Cena, took his moveset, took his everything, and Cena's gonna be. And Cena cut the craziest promo after he turned to R-Truth, saying what's wrong with that man? He took everything from me. He took my catchphrases, he took my moves, he took this and that, and y'all cheered him and y'all admired him this and that. And I'm supposed to thank him for helping me win. It's it works. So, but yeah, is there any other tidbits or anything you want to really add to the show, Pete, for Backlash? Is there any rumors or anything that you want to really talk about? Or
I just think that this Backlash is going to lead to a couple of things. I think it's going to lead to we're going to get our 2025 draft, and I think this is going to lead to a new storyline starting to build up.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, but one thing.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing I want to mention because you did bring it up earlier in the show, and I'm if I were to spitball a person that could fit that group. How you were talking about basically the new Seth Rollins faction, where it's they're trying to make evolution, and you basically brought up Austin Theory being that guy to be that the last piece to actually make the group. Yeah. I'm thinking in my mind, it's how crazy would the group be if the person that they do recruit, saying that the future runs in this person, isn't actually Austin Theory, but it's actually Logan Paul.
That's not a bad either.
I can totally see him being a part of that, and it adds heat to the group. Because when you really think about it, people are still cheering Seth. People are still cheering Braun. People are still, still cheering him and this and that. You add Logan Paul in there, you basically added the heat. You actually have the he could be the Randy of the group. Wait, what were you gonna say, Pete?
He has the same arrogance that young Randy had.
Exactly. And the thing is, if they do that whole idea and they actually flip the switch and actually give him the world title, well, guess what? You gave him Heyman too now. And Logan doesn't ever have to cut a promo anymore. Like, Paul Heyman can do the work for himself.
Well, Heyman is pretty much the flair of the group. Minus wrestling.
Basically. But, like, I can just see it right now. I can literally see them just basically taking all the titles. Like, whether it be, like, the world title, IC title, and then tag title, like, I can literally see, like, if they're trying to be Evolution, because Evolution, if you remember, they won all the titles at one point.
Yeah, I mean, well, Paul, I could definitely see holding the tag titles with somebody, and then Breaker would hold the IC title, and Seth would be World Heavyweight Champion.
There you go. You got your Evolution 2.0 right there. So it's like, that's one thing I did want to mention, that could be the variable. But if I were to choose between, like, Logan Paul and Austin Theory, I would actually want Austin Theory because I feel like he's been being devalued basically all these years to the point where people don't even want to see him wrestle no more. He literally had a squash match against Jay, like, at one of the shows this year, and it's like, his stock is at the total lowest. So, like, him basically reviving him and bringing him to the glory that he was, like, all those years ago would actually be beneficial, and people would actually be interested in Austin Theory. Because I do see him kind of being like, the next Randy Orton if they actually, play his cards right.
The only thing I disagree with Theory is that he cut his gimmick. I felt like he took that from what's his name? Fandango's partner.
Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze, yeah. Prince Pretty.
What's his name? Tyler what?
Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze. I called him Tyler Bate.
No, that's Pete Dunne's partner.
I knew Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler Bate. But yeah. And yeah, and I guess one thing we could add, like, as like a quick like tidbit for the show is like, because you did talk about it before we actually did the prediction show. It's like, WWE did a lot of releasing, and like, what's your thoughts on, like, all the people that they released, and like, do you think like it was kind of validated, or do you think some people actually shouldn't have actually been cut?
I just feel bad for all the people that lost their jobs, and I feel like everyone that got released, they're either going to go to 3 different places, and we all know that.
Yeah.
They're either going to go to AEW. I'd be shocked if you go to TNA because of WWE's relationship with them.
Yeah, but it can happen.
No, definitely can happen. Or, of course, New Japan.
Yeah, which that would be cool. But what's the crazy part, too? I do see a lot of the crop that they released currently right now actually not being, like, AEW talent. I can kind of see them actually going to TNA. Like a Braun Strowman in TNA, I can totally see that. Yeah, who else? Because they took Dolph, right? Dolph Ziggler's in TNA currently right now with his brother, and he's killing it. So he could be a big name on there. I can definitely see.
I can see Cedric going to AEW to be with
Cedric. Cedric, for business. But I can see Dakota Kai going to TNA too. That because in my mind I'm thinking I'm like AEW want her because of like her history, like they want to know.
If they do get her, that they're gonna take Eddie Thorpe too.
Oh yeah, because they're like a combo deal basically. But yeah, what were some other like notable names from the releases?
Poor Jade, I could definitely see going to TNA.
Yeah, that's TNA for sure. Yeah, and same thing with GG. I can see GG being in TNA.
Jakara, what about Jakara?
I can see Jakara going to like AEW.
How about Gallus? TNA?
TNA has to be because I don't think AEW would want to like they're inferring the Young Bucks. You know what I mean? Like Young Bucks are going to be threatened if Gallus goes.
Gallus and the Bucks don't get along.
When it's not that Gallus and Bucks don't get along, it's like when new tag teams come to AEW, I feel like there's a kind of like a territorial thing with the Bucks. Like they don't want to be the main. You know what I mean? It's like an ego thing.
Yeah.
So it's like because if you notice, like what tag teams did they sign? Because I don't count the Hurt Business as a tag team. That's a faction.
Look at all the teams that fell victim to them, or they didn't want to do business. FTR,
Private Party,
Red Dragon.
Yeah, but they never died. No, they died because of the Young Bucks. Young Bucks didn't want them to exceed because they were killing it in WWE, and they're like, nope, you guys can't be doing that in AEW. And a matter of fact, they released Bobby. They're like, no, we don't want you. So they don't even got like the full Undisputed Era in AEW. So
Yeah, they released Bobby Fish, which I didn't get.
Yeah, he's in TNA, isn't he? Because I could have sworn he made it.
He was, and I think he got. I don't know if he's TNA.
That's crazy. I know they have what you call it, Flop Dollar. Flop Dollar's in TNA.
Oh God, AJ.
Yeah, I don't know why they signed him, but yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If I feel like a lot of WWE's, especially their NXT talent that they release, I could totally see them going to AEW. It's just only a few. Oh, even like Shotzi. Shotzi, I could potentially see.
Shots I could see there, but what about the other two teams? Kaden and Katana.
Yeah, definitely TNA because I don't think. Yeah, I don't think AEW would want that.
Or how about Blair Davenport?
Blair Davenport? She could go back to AEW because she was in AEW at some point, wasn't she? Yeah.
Go back with her ex.
Yeah, yeah. Former ex, yeah. Will Ocean Spray.
Will Ospreay.
Oh, Osprey, my bad.
I don't think he wants to grind the gears.
Yeah. Or you're gonna eat the what's his finisher? Like the fucking I forgot what it was called. It's like the elbow thing he does, but
it does. But Pico, I gotta head home because I'm gonna go to sleep soon.
Yes. So let me just do the outro. So that wraps up the Backlash 2025 show. I'm happy that you guys, joined us for today, Chris. So I appreciate your time. Pete, appreciate as always, loving peace. Because I freaking anytime me and Peter are on the show, man, I get excited, man. Honestly, like I love this. Yeah.
Pika, you know what? I like. I can say that Silver's not around. I definitely prefer your company than his, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because unlike Pika, I mean, I'm not like you, Pika. Who always heals on me.
Yeah.
You baby face me.
Yeah. Like because the thing is, like, this is an open space. Like, you have ideas, I have ideas, and we might not also like all agree at the same time. But like Silver, like, I don't know, he kind of comes off as condescending at times, and I wonder why. Like,
you see,
yeah.
Pika reminds me so much of like Edge was on commentary with Michael Cole and Josh Matthews. Edge was so nice to Josh Matthews, but when Michael Cole was like saying, "Oh, what you did when you destroyed the guy's car," it's like, "Okay, Cole, do me a favor. Why don't you arrest me? Do a citizen's arrest."
Right. It's like if if you remember the NXT announcers, like, I'm Buck Booker, you're like Vic Joseph, and Silver's like Corey Graves. Like, he's always a negative one. Like, what?
You know what is the third? He's the third negative one. It's like he's the coach. You're Lawler, and I'm Ross.
Right. And if Stephanie Becker wants to do the Devil's Kiss, and I want to go, I want to go on the show. Stop judging me, so.
Silver's got to go. That doesn't work for me, guys.
That doesn't work with me, brother.
It works for me, brother.
Yeah. Did you know I used to play lead for Metallica? Like, no. So.
It was me that was supposed to be that had the George Foreman grill, but that I turned it down.
It was me who faced Brock Lesnar after he left the UFC and came to the
it was me that found Kurt Angle, right? It was me that found Kevin Owens. I'm the one that gave Kevin Owens the good luck in 2015, brother.
Yeah. Matter of fact, like, it wasn't Sherry who was actually Kurt. It was me all along. I'm a sexy Kurt.
Sexy Kurt. I'll make your ankle hurt.
Ankle hurt.
Marty Jannetty. Still. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. And if you guys didn't realize, that's our way to actually show our love and appreciation to Silver, like, amazing individual. Because a lot of people are gonna be watching and be like, "Yo, y'all hate Silver?"
I don't hate Silver. We have a fun relationship, him and I.
Exactly. This is how, like, dudes kind of bust each other's balls. It is what it is sometimes. But
it is.
with that being said, that's a good note to end the show on. So appreciate everybody who tuning in for watching, and get excited because I think May 10th, that's a Saturday. That's gonna be a Backlash. So tune in. So with that being said, I wish y'all a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Peace.